We are good, we are good, we are good all the way.
It's Christmas.
Hey!
Hello everyone. Yeah, a few days. Last episode before Christmas. Today is the 21st. Well, technically.
Oh, when it comes out. Excellent. Merry Christmas, everyone. Hope you're excited.
Merry Christmas!
So I hope you're all snuggled up tight and choosing which Christmas film you're going to watch this year. We chose Elf, which is today's episode.
Yep.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
What does Elf mean to you guys?
Ooh, starting off deep.
Christmas.
Is all around me.
Oh, I actually watched Love Actually recently, but that's another episode. Elf. That it's okay to be different. Aww.
My main memory of Elf is that my mum always wanted to watch it, and my dad's like, "Oh no, that's shit again." So that's what Elf kind of means to me. It's like a film that me and my mother would watch at like Christmas. So
Yeah.
So family, I guess. Yeah, that's when I think of Elf. I think, oh yeah, sitting in like the living room in Dunfermline watching Elf for the umpteenth time.
Oh, bless.
So yeah, and enjoying it every time.
Yeah.
Which is rare sometimes with a lot of movies, especially Christmas movies, because you think make a classic Christmas movie, and you see it once, you see it every time. I mean, like White Christmas, as much as it's amazing, it doesn't. I don't know if it captures you every time. It's still good in the end. Always gets you. You always feel like very happy and sad at the end, But with Elf, every time you watch it, you laugh at all the jokes. None of them get old.
Yeah, and like I saw new things this time that I watched it. So I think that's one sign of a good film.
What about you, Yann? Was this your first time watching Elf, or have you seen this before?
Okay, look, it must be generational because so this film was released in 2003. I was 24 then, and I just saw it this week.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't get it.
You don't get it?
No, because I already have my same style of Christmas movie that is in the same style.
So what's your Christmas movie go to then?
Okay, let me just make sure I get the right. So that's The Miracle on the 34th Street.
I haven't seen that.
The John Hugh one.
I know of it, but I've not seen it.
1994. David Attenborough is Santa.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
And that's basically, if it's a film that you watch, mostly how it happened. It was programmed on TV every Christmas, along with some other random weird fantasy stuff, or the Baskervilles Hound. Yeah, that's the one I used to see when I was a kid. This one.
All right. Okay. So this will be quite interesting.
So yeah, Yeah.
So it's nice to have somebody that has not seen this movie before, because I always thought everyone had seen Elf, so this will make an interesting episode to see, does it hold up to somebody coming in straight off the bat, as opposed to somebody who watched it like, oh yeah, I love this film.
I never put, usually when you ask people what their Christmas movie is, I don't think they say Elf, though.
Die Hard?
Yeah. Or It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I mean, Love Actually is a huge one.
What about that? What about that one? It was like the reindeer. It wasn't Rudolph, but it was like a different guy. And it was like animation. It's really odd.
No, I haven't seen that one.
And it's like they have a race.
Right. Okay.
I'll look it up. I'll remember the end of the episode. But I always think of that one as well. But yeah.
Okay.
I know what you mean. To me, actually, because of my dad, I think of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is a movie about Thanksgiving, but is easily applicable to Christmas.
Yeah.
Well, in Europe especially, because we don't have Thanksgiving. But
Home Alone.
Yeah, Home Alone.
That's
I haven't seen either.
Christmases. I don't know. I feel like it might become one though, because I saw it recently, of course, for this episode, and it was really Christmassy, and it made me feel really kind of Christmassy at the end. When they're all singing. And they're trying to get the Christmas spirit up. And I quite liked it because there were all these little things for the adults. I mean, and I don't mean sexual innuendos, but you know, like how no one has Christmas spirit anymore, and you know it's all about consumerism, and like people don't believe. And as much as like I don't believe in Santa, shock horror, but it's like a different thing to just believe in like being with family and it being like a nice holiday.
I think this film captures the whole modern, say modern, but a more modern idea of Christmas, where like Miracle on 34th Street and White Christmas, you know, all have It's a Wonderful Life, all have this kind of 1950s, 60s idea of what Christmas is, like a very old traditional sense of Christmas. Whereas this one kind of, I think, will hold up because it represents another generation of Christmas. You know, it's like moving forward.
Like people working over Christmas and getting
just the fact that not everyone's, you know, putting up a stocking and waiting for Santa and sitting around the tree and, you know, all these sort of traditions that everyone must have done back in the day, but not necessarily are kicking about now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I quite liked how it. I don't know. There was something nice about this film.
Well, it's funny to begin with. That always helps.
I laughed all the way through. I did.
Did you laugh because you've seen it before and it brought back some stuff, or not? Because I didn't.
I didn't laugh because I remember the jokes. I thought some of them. I thought it was pretty funny.
No, not necessarily remembering the jokes, but being familiar with the character. I've checked on YouTube, and Buddy Health is a big cosplay thing. So
I don't think I don't. I mean, I know the character, but it doesn't make me laugh more knowing the character. Maybe later in the film, but because Elf is one of these films that you put away and you don't watch all the time. And if it's on, you watch it.
I don't watch it. I didn't watch it every year, and it's not my Christmas movie. It's also not my go-to film that I'd see. So I actually went in with a lot of like worry that I wouldn't enjoy it because it seems quite childish, like off the bat. But I actually laughed all the way through. Like I really did, and I don't think this comes from bias. Like there are some films where I'm like, yeah, I'm biased because this is like childhood, but it's not I mean, I've seen it before, but it's not my childhood Christmas film.
I also wasn't a child when I think I saw this. If this is
2003. Yeah.
I didn't see it till later on. I don't remember when I first saw it, to be honest, but I might be like 2008. So I'm 12 at that age. 2008 seems to be a very pinpoint year for me. I keep thinking everything is 2008. It probably wasn't, but I wasn't a young kid. If you want to talk about a movie I remember watching over and over and over again as a kid that doesn't hold up now, the American Godzilla with what's his face that played Simba?
Right. Okay.
Oh God, what is his name? I can't remember. But yeah, that film, which is terrible and is a terrible Godzilla movie, and just in every idea is a terrible film. But I used to watch that over and over and over again because it had a dinosaur in it. Well, Godzilla in it. I didn't at that age. I was like, oh, Godzilla's a dinosaur, sure. But that was a film that I would watch now and hate. But I loved that as a kid. So in the same sense of Elf, do I like the jokes because I like the film and I like the character? Nah, not necessarily, because I was much older by the time I came to this. So I didn't have that childhood affinity to it.
Okay, this film was directed by someone we hear a lot these days, Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very cool. And I think that is not, I think because I knew that I was a big fan of the director, I was like trying to look at the film in a different light. And I think it is actually quite intelligent. Like there are some quite commercially tasteful things, you know, like universally, what is that word? Universally edible.
That's a good word for it. Do you mean consumer friendly?
Yeah, like, you know, yeah, commercially friendly as well. Like everyone can just watch it in the background.
Commercially relatable? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's an interesting idea.
but actually there are a few things that I thought was quite interesting, how we need to like believe in everything and everyone has to, believe what is real, and we're so worried about what's real and what's fake and not looking stupid, and you have to get back to work and make money, and like everything's a bit kind of mundane.
It was fun to watch this now with a bit of like critical thinking, especially after reading Christopher Booker's book about plots and story structure as an actor, going for drama school, looking at all these things to see jelly beaning in this story, which is there, which you don't pick up on if you just watch this as a Christmas movie. You always think, why do we spend time in the North Pole? Doesn't the story begin when he finds out that his dad's on the naughty list and he's actually an elf? He's a human, not an elf. Well, there's a lot of jelly beaning with the fact that he is the one. He's an apprentice of looking after the sleigh. Like that comes back in the future. Like that's there, and all these sorts of things. And even the fact that even though he's a bad elf and he can't really make the toys, he's still pretty good at making the decorations and stuff because he's being brought up in that. So there are things at the start of the film that pay off in the middle and at the end, which I thought is very good.
So in the human world, he's good at being an elf, but in the elf world, he's really bad at being an elf.
Yeah, it's like he's able to bring what an elf could bring to a human world, and that's that Christmas cheer and being really having a positive outlook and not being afraid to be in touch with your inner child, all that sort of stuff, which is important, especially at this time of year because it's a very jolly season. You don't think about that when you watch it as a kid. You're just looking, oh look, this elf is drinking a full bottle of Coke. He's jumping on a Christmas tree. He's amazing at snowball fights. Yeah. All that sort of stuff that is layered in there that you only pick up later, or if you're looking at it in that way. So I thought that's a pretty good sign, because I wonder if classic Christmas movies hold up in the same sense if you looked at it as well.
Well, in terms of person estranged in a new world, I would say that my go-to movie, rather than this one, because it didn't become this one, would be Big.
With Tom Hanks?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good movie.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like maybe this film wouldn't work as well if it wasn't Christmas as well. Like, you have to watch it with that excitement and that feeling of like family and like a roaring fire or any of the traditions that you do over Christmas, like religious or not. Like,
it's funny to think because in America, movies come out on like Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Over here, Boxing Day is a thing. You don't do anything on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
Unless you like retail or you work in retail.
Yeah.
Our hearts and souls go out to you that work.
Is that Boxing Day? How do you do it? Because what we usually do, so the actual Christmas Day, the 25th, right?
Yeah.
So do you also have like the presents? You have to wait until midnight the previous year, like the previous day. Like Christmas Eve on the 24th? Or how does that work?
Families are different. I know
Depends.
some people open presents over multiple hours of Christmas Day. Some people will open them on like the midnight on Christmas Day.
Sometimes they'll open them in the morning.
I used to open them in the morning.
25th.
On the 25th, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I open them on the 24th because I'm German.
We have the whole dinner and everything on the 24th, evening.
So that's a European thing. Or sorry, a continental thing, sorry.
Could be. I'm not sure. All I know is that Germans actually believe that Christmas Eve is special rather than it being a European thing.
Well, it's interesting because we get our idea of Christmas from German tradition because of obviously Queen Victoria and Albert. The Christmas tree came over when he came over.
Right, of course.
So it evolves from that. And then and much like Halloween, it's evolved from the American sides as well. So it's kind of interesting to see that the British standpoint of Christmas is kind of taken two cultures' versions of it and put it together and cut out the best bits.
Yeah.
There's something that won't be removed though. This film did two things that I didn't have in my life before. I finally saw Bob Newhart in something, and Zooey Deschanel as a blonde.
Yeah, I think she looked all right as a blonde.
Yeah.
I think it worked. She's got such a lovely voice in this film as well.
Yeah. That's
It was really, really nice. Who did you see in this film? Sorry, who was the first time?
Bob Newhart, Papa Elf.
Oh,
Oh
right.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought his delivery at the start of the film was really interesting, actually.
Adam was talking about how he did it really well, like unlearning lines.
Yeah, not the art of over rehearsing sometimes kills live performance. The idea of you just rehearse the scene over and over again, the blocking, etc., etc., instead of rehearsing like human to human interaction. Whereas it genuinely felt like he was just talking to like, oh yeah, this happened. It really felt naturalistic, which was super interesting because you think playing an elf, you're going to be super over the top. But this was quite nice. It was sort of grounded between human and what a human would be like and what an older elf might be like. It was a bit of a juggle between the two. And it didn't feel like it was in a film. It felt distinct, which is why I picked up on it.
It was like nervous, stammery, kind of awkward, and then I don't know. Like, and that's probably, I mean, that has to be a decision that you make because, of course, you know all your lines and
Hopefully.
where to pause and stuff. So it's a way of, but of course, the way that we learned it is that you learn your lines without any tone of voice, like cold, and then you put on the intonation as soon as you know your lines, like backwards, so that you can play with it as soon as the camera comes on or you're in front of a live stage, live audience, sorry. Not a live stage. That sounds like you're being electrocuted.
It's a saw trap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't deny that there are some nice, not necessarily funny, but nice moments and nice stuff and touching moments, like when the dad character played by James Caan is talking with with the elf, explaining just after he had a up yours at his job.
Oh yes.
It was quite nice to see him have kind of a heart for the first time.
Yeah, and the little kind of handshake that he has with Michael, his son, the youngest son. It was a really nice touch.
Yeah, indeed. There were some movie references in there of stuff that were released before. How do you like them apples?
Yeah, of course.
And I'm getting too old for this job.
Oh, where's that from?
It's every Danny Wahlberg, not Danny Wahlberg. Sorry,
Lethal Weapon. Lethal Weapon.
Another Saw callback. Danny Glover.
Oh
I'm
right.
getting too old for this shit. Every film. He always has one. It's dug in there somewhere.
I've got some Bible stuff. The Four Horsemen.
I thought.
Yes.
Did anyone else get a Lord of the Rings vibe from the reveal of the Park Rangers? With the Black Riders from Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I definitely got that feel going on.
Yeah, well, I had the Bible stuff, but obviously the riders are coming. Yeah, well, the inspiration is quite clear.
Yeah. Like kind of good vs evil. The horses like kind of with the smoke coming out of their noses and like stamping on the ground.
And they were on the naughty list.
Yes, and they never forgave me.
That was one of the best jokes in the film when it comes back. He goes, their response to not contestants, the people at the Simon and Garfunkel concert are to be desired, and like that's pretty funny considering what Simon and Garfunkel are like.
I know exactly.
That's really good.
I think it's because I think this was the first time I watched it, so I probably took everything first degree. Mm-hmm. So that's why I probably didn't see any jokes really. Yeah. Even though I enjoyed a few things. Peter Dinklage is in this.
Really, he's so good in this. I thought it was such a nice idea to have this kind of arsehole character who makes amazing stories for children. It's like, that's such a genius thing. It's like this kind of bastard of a character can make these stories that make children happy all around the world. It's like...
I think that there's a whole vibe of like everyone that works in the book publishing industry is a dickhead. I mean, James Caan's character just publishes a book that's missing 2 pages.
I know. It's like, isn't this you signed on 2? Like blank 2 pages, blank pages. Yeah. Thank you. Brilliant. Yeah, because I mean that's the first scene that we see him, right? When he's like, oh, I mean, kids don't really need, a whole story.
The first time we're introduced to him, he's denying that he's taking the books back from a nun's library.
Yeah, exactly.
The children love the books.
You missed the payment. I'm sorry. I have to take this away.
Yeah, you
from
missed the payment,
nunnery.
so really it's your fault.
Oh, God.
We get a mention of Miss Claus, who did the clothes for Santa.
Oh.
I think it's every year Bunny is playing Mrs. Claus at the Magic Castle, the Academy of Magical Arts, pre-Christmas or Christmas evening.
Oh, really? She'd make a great Miss Claus. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, she did that. She did the voice when we had her on for Star Trek.
Oh, is it really
year.
good?
It's very good. Yeah, it's really good.
Brilliant.
I feel the thing about I noticed something because me recently, not in December actually, I think maybe even just before, I watched with Anouk Arthur Christmas, the Aardman film. And a lot of these Christmas modern films have a lot to do with the idea of how to power the sleigh. Because Arthur Christmas is about taking over the family business, who's going to be the next Santa, and what's the best way to do it. Is it becoming the future of like technology, or is it the old-fashioned way with the sleigh and the reindeer? Whereas in this one, it's use the jet engine or power it on Christmas cheer. So I thought that's quite interesting that a lot of films play with the idea of Christmas cheer nowadays in the post millennial generation.
Yeah, playing with the fact, like, is it better to keep it old fashioned or a mixture of both, or do you literally move with the times and make it all technological and theorems? And I mean, what are the YouTube ones that they use? It's like algorithms. Then they find out like who wants what present through a computer, and statistics and percentages and all that kind of stuff, which we're kind of into. We're moving away from it now because it doesn't work like 100%, but there was a period of time where we were fully like committed to.
Do you think that's got anything to do with the fact that the world has become more accessible? Because you can travel easier? Do you think that's why we have a lot to do with the technology of Santa would have to increase? Whereas in the past, we would have thought that Santa would just turn up to your village and that would be it, you know?
Yeah, but I also think it's because, it's technology. It's like everything's online. Everything's like right there. And so you buy as much as possible, and you... I feel like it's just because we know that we can get whatever we want, and so it's easier for most of the job to be done like faster and with no human mistakes on a computer.
That's a very good point, because I talk a few times about how I basically came out of my shell when I was 30.
Yeah,
but it was valid for every aspect of life. Christmas has never been anything really like, except when there is the extended family, when we have nice dinners. But Christmas has never been, for me, this incredible yearly thing that I'm happy to enjoy. So that's probably also why this movie didn't speak to me. And I had a broader point, which I just forgot, but...
I'll let you come back on it.
That's a really good point, actually, because if... Sorry, I cut you off completely.
No, go on, it's fine. I'll pick up after. I can go anywhere.
If Christmas isn't super important to you, or you have that feeling of like, I'm going home for Christmas and all this kind of stuff, and seeing a Christmas tree makes you kind of light up inside, then Christmas movies are probably going to be a bit of a disconnect to you in your life,
It's interesting. Oh, sorry, Yann, you remembered your point.
I think
okay.
The thing is, I got with so I started 8 years ago, which we already had all that technology and way to order stuff, and so I'm starting to order way in advance, and because it's funny. My parents always said that when I was a kid, I used to love any kind of present, like even clothes or like. Whereas my brother was like, clothes, but I can have that anytime. What?
I want something special for Christmas.
Yeah. And I was just like, now I prepare stuff way in advance. I'm sure it's not just like when you're I think when you're dating, if you know actually the person you're talking to a bit better, you know how to approach and stuff. So you know people, your friends and your family. So I start to prepare gifts, not necessarily purchase them, but to think about them a year, well, as soon as Christmas is over. So I'm kind of accumulating stuff, and something that happens, which is funny, sometimes on Kickstarter, I order stuff and it never arrives in years. And so sometimes, like 2 weeks before Christmas, the stuff arrive. And obviously, as you, I ordered that for myself, but I'm pretty sure it would be better for this person, kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I was going to say both points was that Christmas kind of changes, right? I mean, as a kid, it's all about, what I'm going to get. Oh, I can't wait. New stuff, wonderment, toys, all that. But then, as you get an adult, it evolves into the best meal of the year. Like, the Christmas dinner is the king of roast dinners, you know?
Yeah.
And it's the king, and the roast dinner, to me, is the best dinner.
I know it changes as you grow up as well, because, like, my parents divorced a few years back, and Christmas got even more special because I don't see my whole family. You know, it's like different times that I see them. And I don't go to one place and see everyone.
Right, yeah.
So it's like super important. And even though my dad lives in Pakistan, so I don't see him for Christmas, but just like the whole point of like having a time where everyone makes the effort to like go to one place and like meet and have dinner is like super important, especially because we all live in different parts of the world. So at least half of them can come to one place and we spend time, you know, and it's like the one time when we're kind of forced to do that.
I don't know if it's because I've not had dinner yet or I've had a drink, so I'm quite hungry. But I can't think of anything that is a traditional Christmas dinner that is not good. I mean, you've got the turkey, a beef Wellington, roast salmon, a honey glazed ham, you know. Yeah, everything is good. Everything.
It's interesting because... So, yeah, you agree?
I agree. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously depending on the culture, it's totally different stuff that are added. We have obviously foie gras, oysters, smoked salmon.
You have oysters for Christmas?
Yeah. That's
lovely.
It's funny because it's probably also stems from this that when we were younger and at Christmas, foie gras and salmon, sometimes caviar, were like for the grown-ups,
right?
So you're like, no, you can't have them until you're bigger. It's like, yeah, okay,
yeah.
So yeah, we were like, just an awareness thingy. If you could just make sure you know exactly what you're doing with your fingers, because every time you touch the cable, the sound, I don't know if you hear it, but I do, and the sound will be annoying to remove afterwards.
Okay.
You know this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do it now to know everyone.
I was just wondering where it was.
It might be me because the cable is like on my leg. So
no, but yeah. Do
you know what? This film, to go back to the film, doesn't have the Christmas dinner. The dinner's not in it. In fact, this film isn't about the art of Christmas Day. It's not even about the build up to Christmas. Really, it's more or less about the holiday seasons, which is why I think it has a pretty good universal appeal. Because there doesn't, I mean, apart from the whole Santa coming to town on Christmas Eve, that's the only real time that the idea of Christmas is pinpointed. The rest of the film is, one, trying to find his dad, and two, being around at Christmas, spreading cheer and stuff like that. So apart from that, there's no actual Christmas dayness in the film.
There is also a point for these movies, because they have to maintain the idea that the guy exists.
Santa, yeah, okay.
Yeah. On the miracle, all of them is just like, in the end, is we were lied to. It's like, it's apparent. No, that's actually Santa.
You should watch Tim Allen's Santa Claus. We should do that at some point.
Yeah.
Which is a good movie, kind of about the whole idea of Father Christmas and stuff like that. That's quite good. Because I think the plot of that is he kills Santa and he becomes Santa Claus.
Right, okay.
It's great. It's a great movie.
Okay. So,
yeah.
Yeah. Also, the fact that I didn't see it when I was no, I was never when I was younger the right age anyway. So it couldn't have worked for me because I was never in the target audience. I think.
Yeah, I feel like whenever there's this whole thing that focus on, do you believe in Santa Claus? I think it's the thing that makes me excited about Christmas is like just family and food.
God, yeah.
Right? Like just the fact that like it's the one time when you know you have like your own traditions and your own family and blah blah blah, and so I quite like I agree with you in the fact that like it's nice that you can have your own tradition, so that wasn't one thing where it's like, oh yeah, this is what Christmas is about. It was more just like how you feel about it.
I also think the film, the idea of having it in New York, which is kind of known for being a kind of unfriendly place, where it isn't really, because we've been, but the idea you have is New Yorkers aren't that friendly, is also is a really clever idea of having like somebody that's so starkly different to the norm come into town. I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, I mean, if you it's like London, like you visit, and of course
True,
it's the most brilliant place ever. But if you live there are loads of problems with people aren't friendly at all.
There is a Ghostbusters 2 vibe here with the Klausometer. In the Ghostbusters 2, they all have to cheer also for the thing above the building to explode, and it's not Christmas. I don't think it's Christmas, but it's there's the same kind of aspect that you have to build the city momentum of love to actually destroy the bad guy. Kind of.
Was it not fear? Was it that he fed on fear sort of thing?
Yeah, something like
It was something like that. Yeah,
the slime. Yeah, and they just needed to bring love.
Oh, it made people angry. That's what it was. Yeah, it made people more angry.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he fed on the anger. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah. I see your point with that. I mean, I just like the feel with every scene that Will Ferrell is in this movie, which is 90% of the film probably.
Yeah.
It just has like a really upbeat tone to it. Like,
yeah, it's feel good, isn't it?
And that's quite impressive with a character like Buddy the Elf, who could be annoying. You know, you could get annoyed of him constantly being there, but you never really are. I don't feel that anyway. I don't know about Yann, seeing this is your first go of this movie.
Maybe I think I was at first, and then I was taken by some of the strong touching moments. But yeah, definitely at first I was like, when he was taking the chewing gums from the subway thing, like, wow, oh, that's an amazing role model for kids watching the film.
Yeah.
But these are things that probably kids are taught, like, you know, don't eat the gum. It might be. He doesn't know how to cross the road, all that sort of stuff.
It's to show his naivety, I think.
Don't hug a raccoon.
Yeah. It's to show that he comes from a completely different world, and also the fact that like it's like rising, increasing the stakes, because it's like he doesn't belong anywhere. Like in the elf world, he's too big. He's not good and fast to like when he's making toys. He's not an elf, and then when he's in the human world, he's not human either.
Yeah,
and he's kind of in the middle. And there's this whole time when he's on the bridge, which is definitely in It's a Wonderful Life homage.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I don't belong anywhere, and
it's not an angel that appears.
Yeah, and it's also Santa. it's this sad. Well, exactly, the sad moment of like, oh God, what do I do now? Because I don't belong anywhere. But then you kind of learn that being you is okay, even if you're different and no one kind of does the same things as you in each part of your world. You do you, and the people will always find, I don't know, like the things that work for them in you.
It's a really good point. I've honestly never seen the correlation between It's a Wonderful Life and that scene, but you're absolutely right. That moment of finding faith and a direct homage to It's a Wonderful Life. This film is just, it's nice, there's nothing in it's this over grotesque. I mean, when we look back on films that we've looked at this year and last year, I think particularly of say like, Jumanji, going all the way back, you look at that film and go, oh, it's not grotesque, but there's just so much stuff that was just like, really, this isn't here. Oh, that's just so unfunny. You know, like stuff that outstays its welcome. Whereas in this film, there's stuff that if it was in a different film, it wasn't handled in the same way. You'd be like, this is just ridiculous. Like the whole, going on Yann's point where he said he found annoying the guy, him eating all the gum. Like if that was in any other film, you'd be like, why is this in here? You know? Even like if that was in a film where it was like, say, is it Enchanted?
Mm-hmm.
The one where the princess comes into the real world with Amy Adams?
Yeah.
Like if that sort of thing was in there with like one of her helpers or something that did all that, you'd be like, why is what? But I don't know. There's just something about this film, the whole tonality and the whole like vibe, that all the stuff that Buddy does, I don't really find annoying. You know?
I think it's because he doesn't force his personality and his own belief onto people. It's more that like he doesn't understand that other people would actually ever have a different opinion. And so it's only annoying when someone forces their belief onto you, right? It's like, and that's with anything. Like, so when someone's like, no, that's not the way, he kind of just goes with it. Like, I think the most heartwarming scene is when he asks out Jovi or Zoe Deschanel, and he takes advice from like a 12-year-old boy who's like, yeah, you have to ask her out for food. And it's like, you're so right, but you're also
so
really wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that's not.
Do you want to get food?
Exactly.
Okay,
And he's
yeah,
like, would you
sure.
like, do you know,
Do you like food?
Exactly. Do you like food? Would you like food? And she's like, well, I've just had lunch. And it's like, you're really missing the point here. But I think that's the most heartwarming thing ever. And I think that's why he's not annoying, because he lives in a very different world, but he doesn't like force you to live in his world.
I've just thought of a great video. You know how you get like these, it's not real, I've just come up with the idea. Like these people that come and like preach the Bible or something, you always see like in Sauchiehall Street or something like that. Sauchiehall Street, for listeners that don't live in Glasgow, is just like one of the bigger streets in Glasgow, where all like the shops are. It's like city centre. Have somebody dress like Buddy the Elf and be like doing the same thing but about Christmas. So they're like, God is coming to save you. You need to find yourself and find the way. And the other guy is just like, you need to put up tinsel to feel the joy of Christmas. Make sure you say Merry Christmas to everyone you see. All that sort of thing. I'm like, that's the best. That would be great just to see somebody come up and do that instead. And I guarantee more people would be listening to the guy dressed as Buddy the Elf than somebody pushing an idea on you. And to go on Anouk's point of like he never pushes it upon you, that's also great, because even if he slightly did, there's nothing that anyone wouldn't but go with. You know, like somebody that he's like, oh, you know, you've got to put up all the Christmas decorations. You've got to put the tree up. You're like, yeah, you're right. You got to do that.
Yeah,
all that sort of stuff. Nothing Buddy says is that unbelievable, even though he's an elf.
I guess so. Like the cute moment when Jovi's in the shower and she's like, stop looking, and so he covers his eyes and like runs into the wall because he's covering his eyes. And it's like he takes everything so literally. It's just total naivety, and I think that's kind of heartwarming, actually.
I clearly had a feeling that Will Ferrell had a real fun with that.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Like, I mean, you could tell that when even Jon Favreau as the Doctor, that scene must have been so much fun, because that's your director and he can just like, you know, oh, I'm just eating the cotton buds and I'm just moving around and, oh, what's he doing? And, oh, it's cold. And like, that must have been so much fun.
The thing is, as well, you know, this is a good job by Will Ferrell, because everyone has tried to get him to do the same sort of thing for every film since Elf.
Yeah. Oh,
if you look at anything like, let's say, even though it's a fucking terrible movie, what was the movie he did with Kevin Hart where he was Get Hard?
Get Hard,
when
he's
going to go to jail. And he's like this sort of wimpy character. They're like, oh, you know, just do the sort of stick you had for Elf.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of idea.
Possibly.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Elfcast,
Yeah. Ha ha ha.
the Christmas version of Typecast.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this is unrelated, but have you guys seen the video of the elf actor in the West End of London
Yeah.
on Twitter?
Yeah.
It's easily findable, and it will be on other social media platforms. Somebody tweeted out this guy outside Hamleys in London, which is a big toy store, dancing to like Christmas songs, and it's 3 actors dressed as elf, and the caption of the tweet reads, "Lead role," they said, "West End performance," they said. And then it's just been defended by everyone in the industry going, it's like, yeah, Christmas is a really hard time for actors. And, like so many people will go up and do pantomime or take roles. It's like they're earning money during Christmas, it's not nothing to be looked down upon. And he's so committed that many, many people have come and offered him representation on the back of, dancing his heart out outside a shop, being an elf. I'm like, and that's the sort of thing. It's like, with Buddy the Elf, it's like you look at it and you might laugh, but in reality, it's like be committed to whoever you are. Like he believes that he's happy in what he's do, and in the same sense for that actor, it's like he's committing to a role that he's playing. He's really putting his heart and soul into it, because the kids that are going into Hamleys don't see like, oh, he's a person pretending to be an elf.
You make their day. Like I'm
Yeah.
doing a pantomime at the moment, and it's actually opened my eyes so much because first off, I'm being paid probably the right amount of money that I'm supposed to be paid in any job that I do. But, actors are kind of paid after, like with the money that they have left over from all the other stuff that they have to buy, right? Which usually means that they can use that line of like, oh, but we'll give you experience, or we'll expose
Exposure.
which if it does give you exposure, brilliant, fine, but quite a lot of the time it doesn't. So you kind of have to be. So first off, it's crazy that any actor should look down on any job, because who the fuck are you? Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not Tom Cruise yet, mate. Like you can't really look down on any job. Second of all, I have never worked so hard in my life. I am absolutely exhausted, and I've been off for like today and yesterday evening. Like I'm still shattered. Also, we go to like old folks' homes, and there are people that can't move, or they're in wheelchairs, or they've got like what are they called? Like IV drips, and muttering to themselves, like they might not really be in this world anymore. And that old folks homes that we did on Sunday is also connected to like veterans who are dealing with PTSD, and also just having that disconnect between reality and what they went through in the war, which we'll never understand. And if you can give people like children and people who are like elderly and ill a little bit of joy, why would you look down on that? Do you know what I mean? Like just because you are acting silly, or maybe it's for kids. I get it, because I've also had that thought of like, oh no, that's beneath me. Like I'm a real Shakespearean actor, or I'm a real actor who has trained. And like, of course, any actor would go through that. But if you do that one job, it honestly will like open your eyes and make you see these things in a whole new light. And it's probably what they say to Will Ferrell, saying yes to that part, like, oh, you just said yes for the money, or you just said yes to blah, blah, blah. And it's like, actually, you have no idea why he said yes, because quite a lot of actors might say yes because they've got kids who liked that script, or like elves, or like, all these things.
It's the same thing where people look down on Elf because, it's a Christmas movie. It's like, just because something's a Christmas movie doesn't make it a good film.
Yeah.
The
bad film, you mean?
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right.
Freudian slip.
I was like,
Works both ways.
I know.
Yeah, it's like sub genres of like Christmas. It's a Christmas movie. It's like, yeah, but it's it's a movie, you know. It's just because it comes out at Christmas doesn't devalue it as a product.
It also might not be for you, right? Like Yann is saying, like if you're not part of the audience, why would you then judge it solely on being like, this is shit and no one should ever watch it? It's like, well, if it wasn't intended for you, then surely that's unfair.
What's interesting about the tour you're doing right now is the added challenge, because all those old folks home and kids shows, you have to win them over. They didn't ask to be there for most part, I guess.
Of course, yeah. And of course it's also about like I don't know, why am I losing my train of thought? Attention span.
That's ironic.
Like, huh? I know, shush. Which I have none. I'm a child, obviously.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying that like kids and families don't have a huge attention span when they're going to entertainment.
Yann got the joke.
For once, I got it. Yeah.
Did you get it as well?
Yes, Adam, I got it.
The goldfish.
That's the best joke of the year, ladies and gentlemen. That's the best joke I've ever made on the podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've completely undermined you.
It's all right. Yeah, I'm just saying that when you're working with kids and families, etc., like the attention span is so much less, and so you have to always keep going, and so the energy is like high up there, and that's why it makes it more exhausting. And also you have to gauge. It's also about ad-libbing, right? So you have to know what kind of questions you need to ask. You have to know how when to overact and when to underact and when to be conversational and when, do you know what I mean? Like it's a lot harder than people think.
I would have thought you had a great experience of working with children because you work with me and Yann every other week.
Oh, give yourselves more credit, guys.
Yeah, but we are quite childish. I was listening back to some of the episodes. I'm like, God, we're quite serious. I'm like, right, okay, let's get some joviality back into it.
I know.
You know, I don't know. This film to me, it's just like it's a nice movie, and there's never a time when you watch this and you're like, it's a waste of time. Sometimes I've described it, movies on the podcast with like, oh, if it was on, I'd watch a bit of it, or like, you know. But if Elf was genuinely on TV, I reckon you'd stop and watch most of it. You know, it's just one of these films for me that you come back to every time you come back to it. You enjoy it, even if you don't see anything new, or you're just like, there's very much right now the idea of like brain dead. Watching, I don't mean brain dead, that's probably the wrong word. You know, like if you come back from work and you're just exhausted and you just want to watch something easy or something Christmassy, if it's this time of year, you'd watch Elf. That's not saying Elf is a bad movie, no, just the fact that there's a media out there which needs to be out there for people that just want to, you know, take their mind off of something.
Yeah, of course, because I mean, Christmas is a little bit about that, isn't it? Like you've worked all year, it's the end of the year, you're about to start a whole new year. And so you're thinking about all the things that, you know, you want to do next year. And this is just a small part of the time where you're like, okay, I'm just going to forget everything and focus on like now. Like work is over and next year it hasn't come yet. And so you're in this kind of gray zone.
Yeah.
And that's why quite a lot of Christmas films are like feel good, because you don't really want to watch Nosferatu, right? Unless you're my family. But
my dad told me a good story about Nosferatu.
Oh yeah.
He was listening to the radio, and it was a radio. Somebody was on, a scriptwriter was talking about he was in London and he went to a secret cinema, and he's like, I was like a midnight horror showing of like a classic horror movie. He was like so excited to go and see it. And then he got there, and it was Nosferatu, and he was bitterly disappointed because it's like Nosferatu, and it's silent, and it's German, and all that. And I was like, that's funny, Dad, because I have Rhys Shearsmith on Twitter, and he was at the same thing, and he loved it. Because you know, it's just, that film is so defiant in its own way. And very much like Elf, you'll have people that are like, oh, this movie's stupid, or people that like die hard love it. Elf is this generation's Nosferatu, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh dear. I feel like you have to give films a chance. You can't walk into a film thinking that it's going to be one thing, because then that might also taint the way that you're watching it the whole way through. And I've done that. I've walked into a film and been like, oh, this is going to be shit. And then it was shit. right? But then I watched it for a second time and actually I really enjoyed it, and I realized I didn't allow myself to enjoy something when actually, and this happens a lot with like superhero films. You know how quite a lot of them, not a lot of them, a few of them can seem a bit assembly line and kind of coughed out of the huge Hollywood machine.
Yeah.
But actually the ones that I've seen I really enjoyed.
Yeah, some are better than others. I mean, everyone talks. It's
to
usually sequels that are quite bad in the superhero genre.
Horror too.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah, very true.
So you have to
As
give
we
a
know,
film a
if we
chance.
watched bloody 8 bloody Saw movies, and none of them were better than the first one.
Yeah. And also realize what it's trying to do, right? Like, as we were talking about, if it's a Christmas film, that's what it's supposed to be. Like, don't put that against Nosferatu, because there's no...
Yeah,
I was about to say there's never been a sequel to a Christmas movie, and that's not true. So I'm glad I stopped myself saying that.
I mean, well, now with all the stuff I forgot, but that's beautiful. No, yeah, I sometimes still do that, but there is always, except if it's really a terrible movie, a point that will hook me. Like even I'm struggling in the start, and then at some point, even in the middle or towards the end, something that will really like catch me, and I was like, "Oh, that was good." So I can start with like not giving a stuff. Okay, I had 2 hours to wait now until this is over, and then I was like, "Oh, that was quite nice." But I'm still watching it, so I'm not missing the start. But
Yeah, I had that with Call Me by Your Name. I hated watching the film, but then I finished it. I'm like, shit, that was really good. Like the whole way through.
That happened with Bird too, didn't it?
Yeah, not as much as it happened with. Maybe it was Shine more. Bird for me was a bit like hit or miss, but with Shine, I definitely started off going, "What the hell is this?" And then it grew on me. So there are films that do that. Because this film takes a wee while to get started. It's like, what's going on here? And then when it does, when we get to New York, we're like, oh yeah, this is quite good.
Yeah.
Guys, got anything else about Elf?
nope.
No? Shall we go into the rating?
Yeah.
All right then. So, Anouk and Yann, was Elf good, bad, or just plain standard? Yann?
Well, you know what? Actually, I have no idea. But one for sure, it was good enough that now the thing I want to do is to go see it with some of my French family and to see what they think about it.
All right, okay.
And share around it, because to see if it's just me that missed the point, or if it's because it's too American, and obviously you're British, so not it's not. But yeah,
there definitely was a bit of an American feel to it for sure. I just guess because we get so many American films over here that it's relatable in a sense. But that's quite a good point. I've never thought of it like that.
No.
Anouk?
It's difficult. I would say good with a flair of heartwarming. But I also want to kind of put like a little footnote saying that this is a Christmas movie. Like, you don't want to put this against all the other good films, right? Like, because it is quite feel good and like kind of Christmassy and family.
Yeah,
and childish.
I'm in the same mindset. I would put the flair of get the Christmas party started, sort of, you know, like when you start watching this film, it's like, oh yeah, Christmas is coming. Like, you wouldn't watch this film in like October, although I know some people. That's a meme though, because as soon as it gets after Christmas, immediately all the memes for Elf start coming out, so it's a popular thing. So yeah, good for me too. All right, so that's Elf. We're starting a new format here, so that if you're more interested in this talking about the movie, we're now going to talk about anything else that we saw this week. So this section might be like 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. It's just if we have anything else to say that's not necessarily related to the movie. If you're not into that, see you next time.
Oh, so there are 3 additional things that we should investigate next year. So there is the April stuff for my 40th.
Yeah,
obviously that we're doing a road trip. That's what the plan is. And there is, so you know, something that was shared on the Messenger group a while back before I left Facebook, the Somni thing, which was a mix between virtual reality, augmented. Those guys, they are doing a new one,
all right,
based on War of the Worlds.
Oh, great.
All right, okay.
which is apparently, if you book now for the May dates, which are previews, it's like 42 instead of 70.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So there's either this or there is also Secret Cinema. We talked about this, Casino Royale,
Yeah, that looks very good.
and
Yeah, it
Secret
does.
Theatre.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah, which I'm not entirely sure what the theme is, but it sounds extremely nice.
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, I shared with you on WhatsApp the links, and I'll share them somewhere
Cool.
in there. What I wanted to say?
And
Oh, yes, we are about to enjoy Christmas in a few days.
Yeah, we're off.
Yes.
Anna and the Apocalypse will be the next episode. In this episode, we talked about Old Folks Home. John McPhail, who directed Anna and Apocalypse, his first full feature is called Where Do We Go From Here? And it's a lovely story that is set in a retirement home.
Oh, okay.
And we'll try to see it. Well, I saw it twice. Once after Anna the Apocalypse premiere at GFT, there was a small engagement in September. And yes, I discovered totally out of the blue while I was researching where to see that film again, the Burnt Church Film Club. So it's very interesting, and I'm quite annoyed that I only discovered that last week because it's once a week probably they are in the back room of the Flying Duck, which is a block in front of Cineworld Renfrew Street pretty much,
Right.
which is for non-Glasgow region listeners again the tallest cinema in the world, I think.
Hopefully, it still is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's on it's the same street where the Royal Conservatoire is located. And so once probably a week, even though the Jeff Goldblum marathon was cancelled a few days ago.
Nightmare.
But this year earlier they had Stanley Kubrick's daughter as a guest.
Oh wow, that's quite good.
Yeah, they had
Awesome.
some nice guests, including John McPhail to talk about his Where Do We Go From Here movie a few days ago, which was quite nice. And there is we'll try to see when that comes out, so you can also watch it, because there are some nice parallels, and you see how inspired it is by Edgar Wright and a lot of Sam Raimi, and it's very interesting to see both. Yeah, very neat, technical and story, but plenty of good stuff in there. Where do we go from here?
To pick up on another film that we talked about, or we mentioned briefly because it wasn't on general release yet. Finally, looks like Isolani's got a date.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
11th of January.
We've been waiting 2 years to talk about this.
Absolutely,
It's going to be great.
We will try to find a date to have some of the team on in January, hopefully.
When you said it was on, I was quite excited to see it again, because I was just sitting back thinking the other day, I was thinking about the film, I was like, I want to see this again. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it again, and apparently, according to you, Yann, it might be a different cut from the one we saw at the premiere.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Oh, did I? Well,
I think didn't Paul come up to you and say, like, did you notice anything different? Because you saw it once we saw it once at Rain Dance, and you saw it again when it's premiered in Scotland.
Yes.
So
It was. I did. I must admit, I didn't see any. Well, I thought I did, but I'm not entirely sure. It was okay. But yeah, between the Rain Dance premiere and the Scottish one, there was a different cut.
All
so
right.
I don't know how. What is going on with this new one? But we'll see come January, and
Yeah.
hopefully, because we also have. So that's interesting. In January, we'll try to have three sessions with multiple guests.
I know.
So we have to have the
Oh God, I need to organise that. Yeah.
the Fringe episode, which I can't contact people because I can talk with Paul because we're both on WhatsApp. That's fine, but Messenger, I don't have that anymore.
Fair enough.
So we'll try to have 3 sessions with a bunch of sensational guests.
Yeah, it should be a good start to the year. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah.
Anouk, anything else happened this week you want to talk about,
No?
or related to this movie at all?
No.
Cool.
I'm so excited for Christmas.
Yeah.
Going
All right
home.
then. So I think this should be a wrap until we do It's a Wrap, which is the next episode we're going to record, and you'll hear probably like in the block between after Christmas and New Year, probably.
Absolutely. Yes,
Cool.
that's the plan. On the 3rd, well, at the last day of the year, and you'll have, I guess, what was it? The one that another one. Anyway,
It's a Wrap might count as a numbered episode. It might not.
yeah, it is. It is.
Numbered, right?
I added a number .a.
So we are about 30 away from 100. So we should hit that probably
Crazy.
by like July at latest next year.
Yeah.
If we do 4 a month, surely.
Yeah.
So we're very close. So
Oh yeah, sorry, that wasn't my point. I think the 1st of January will be our Quantum Leap. Would you watch the rest test?
oh yeah, we're gonna try that and see how that goes.
We have 2 spin-offs in mind. We talked about that a few times before. So basically, would you watch the rest? We watch first the pilot of a series, and we discuss whether or not we want to watch it. And if we want, it's fine. But if it's a series one among us liked, you'll pick that person will pick an episode and try to convince the rest of the people. Like, oh, you didn't like the pilot, but just watch this one, right?
Okay.
Just
all
like
right.
Quantum Leap, we'll still watch another one because there is. I'll talk about. We haven't talked about Doctor Who yet, which is very controversial at the moment. There is the Color of Truth, which tackles race during the Jim Crow laws era.
Okay.
An episode,
yes.
first season of Quantum Leap, which is how you should do it rather than they did Rosa with Doctor Who. But anyway, we'll talk about that. And and the wooden O, but we'll need to take time monthly to record 1 episode a month or something.
Yeah, it'll take a wee while, but that should get on its legs. Yeah, so thank you everyone for listening for another whole year. There's been a year and a half we've been doing these now. So
Yes.
if you want to get on the bandwagon of Patreon of even like $1 a month for the build up to the episode 100, we'll be giving away some stuff on episode 100 probably, and releasing the much hinted at episode 0, which will be very fun to listen to back. Recorded all those years ago in a rundown flat in Glasgow somewhere.
I used the small microphone to record me on that episode, but that's how it will work when we have 3 guests, because we don't have. The 2 guests can have. I have 2 of those now. The radio stuff.
Oh yeah.
So that's how we will be doing. Either I will have one, and Adam will have the other, and
Call back.
yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully I'm looking forward to talking about what will be in episode 100. I don't know if we've given it. Have we given it away already? What we're doing in 100? I might have a surprise. We might do 2 episodes for 100.
No, we wanted at some point, but it's past already. To have Mark for Top Gun on the 50, but that's past.
Oh yeah, good point.
So yeah,
I might have a surprise for you. Come up to the build up. I have an idea for the last 5 episodes before 100. But
Great.
yeah. All right. So
this was Elf.
yeah,
This was us
and we were Adam.
Anouk.
and Yann. Bye.
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 Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Good, the Bad, and the Just Plain Standard podcast. If you like what you heard, you can leave us a review via iTunes. If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Good, Bad, Standard Podcast on both platforms. If you fancy seeing the live streams that we talk about in the podcast, they can be found on youtube.com. You search for Milk in a Wineglass. There are other bits and bobs on there too, just to see what Yann's up to during the week. And if you really like us, like really, really like us, why don't you head on over to patreon.com/goodbadstandardpodcast and have a look if you want to support us. Any small donation is appreciated.